Welcome back, everybody. Today, on this episode, we're going to be talking about the blue book and the black book and how to use the books and what everything means and things like that. So it's actually going to be a really good episode. It's going to hopefully really dumb things down a lot, simplify it, make it easier, and hopefully it's just something that is super educational, something that when you get your blue book you feel confident and you are able to do what you need to do. Which that blue book is, hands down, that thing is, it's worth its money in gold, alright? But first things first, as always, it's cold, it's wintry down here, we are starting a fire. And I don't know if you guys ever make any of these, but these little cotton balls in Vaseline, they're the best thing in the world. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for coming back to another video. Guys, earlier, I believe it was in the very first video we did, we talked to, or no, it was fractions. I believe it was in fractions. We talked to you guys about a couple books that are essential to have. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about these books. Where to find your answers, how to use the book, things like that, all right? So, as we go through this pipe fitting course, as we start going through more of the videos, we're going to be referring to the blue book 99% of the time, all right? This black book has lots of good stuff in it, a lot of things that are fun to do, or that are like, if you don't want to spend the money and you're at home for like a project, you can use a lot of things out of this, like orange peels and things like that. You know, bowl plugs for grills. That all comes out of this black book. But like I said, guys, 99% of what we do is going to be in this black book. Now, this is the Pipe Fitters Blue Book by W.V. Graves, and I highly recommend that you go buy this book. This is going to be your #1 reference book to about everything you're going to do as a fitter, all right? As far as your takeoffs, how to lay something out. If you have to do a branch test, this will tell you how to lay it out if you're not allowed to use a template. The Pipe Fitters and Pipe Welders Handbook by Thomas W. Franklin. Now, this is a really good book for like miters and things like that. Now, in some industries, they don't want to buy fittings and they don't want to do things like that, so you actually have to cut the pipe to make the angles and things. That's where this book's going to come in handy, and I'll have links down at the bottom to where you can get these books, because hands down you're going to need them. I've always had them. This is probably my third blue book I've bought, because I go through them, I mean, just using them all the time, just always in it. Eventually the spine on the glue will start to break down, so I always tend to have one or two of these somewhere around. That way I've always got one. This black book's still pretty brand new, because everything we do is with fittings. So I'm barely in this one, but there is always good information in this book. So that being said, guys, in this video I am going to show you how to use your book, how it's going to help you, where your branch template is, or your branch layout is going to be found in the book, where all your takeoffs are going to be found in the book. Your flange takeoffs, your T's, your 90s, all this stuff is in this blue book, and I'm going to show you where to find it and how to reference where you need to be, alright? So guys, stay tuned. It's really important you know how to do this, because as we go on through this thing, we're going to be referring back to this blue book quite a bit, and it's going to be able to help you guys a lot, alright? So everybody stay tuned. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in just a sec. Alright, everybody, so here we are getting ready to get started in this blue book. Now, as you start opening up this blue book and stuff, I tend to, oh, this is Josh's. Josh Riversdale's. So as I open up this book and stuff, there is so much information in this thing. Tank layouts, how to find your degrees for different fittings, how to do all sorts of different things in it. And it's really good to go through this, read it, understand what a tangent is, and your degrees, and just everything. Set, run, angles. I mean, this is teaching you all sorts of things on how to find whatever degree you're doing. This is a rolling offset, how to draw it out, how to figure it out, how to find it with a square. All sorts of stuff in here, all right? But one of the most used pages you're going to use I'll get to the branch first. How's that? Tends to be everybody's big deal is the branch. Okay guys, on page 29, this is going to give you your branch layout. Now, through this video series, I will lay out a branch for you. I have one on my YouTube channel. There's a 3 or 4 part series on laying out the branch, how to fit it up, how to weld it, all sorts of things like that. But on page 29, your 12-inch riser on a 12-inch branch, basically, is what that is. So those are your measurements for that, and that's on page 29. Now this will give you a layout for all sorts of different size pipes and whatever else. But where we are going to be 90% of the time, and my book is like permanently open to this. This is a newer book. Just figured out this is Josh's book. I don't know how I wound up with Josh Rivestall's book, my old helper, but 95 to 108. Okay? This is your number one. This is where all your information is going to be. So, these are your takeoffs. Now, the way you're going to reference this, so as you guys can see, so we have just a regular long radius 90. We have a reducing 90. I never really noticed that because I've never used that really. So we got a reducing 90. We got your 45 short radius, your 180s. We got caps. We got all this information that we're going to need as we start laying out this pipe. Now, the way that you reference this, now you can see that there's A marks, and basically what's happening is they're taking center of pipe to weld. And here in just a second, I'm going to explain what a takeoff is, and that is going to be so freaking important because everything we do is center of pipe, and so you're going to need to know how this works, all right? So, say we have a 4-inch 90. We're trying to figure out A for a long radius 90. Now, if we were going to do a short radius, we would figure out D. All your A's and B's are up here. So A, all you gotta do is reference down to this and you'll just run down here. Your D would be here, you'll run down this, you know, so everything is labeled on what the takeoff is. Your E is gonna be here. So right now we're gonna figure out what a 4-inch 90 is. And you're gonna go 4 inches, run over to the A mark. We know it's a 6-inch takeoff. So that's how you use the takeoff book. You just pay attention to this, run it over. Now the flanges, and guys, as we go through this, this is gonna make way more sense. Here's your T's. We'll do T's here really quick. Now you can tell that there's a C and an M. Now this is for a straight T and a reducing T. Now your reducers are normally gonna be up here. Oops, sorry. They're gonna be up on the bullnose part of it. But, so say we have a 4-inch T, a 4 to 2 T, and we need to know what the top of this bullnose is right here. So we're going to go to M, which is going to be center to weld. So we're going to come down here to a 4-inch T. Boom, 4 to 2. We're going to come over here. We're going to run over. This is your M, 3.5 inches. Now we know that a 4 to 2 T from here to here is 3.5 inches. That's what it says. So, guys, something else to think about. Now, if it was just a 4 to 4 T, you can just see 4, 4, move over to here. We're 4 1/8. So if this was a 4 to 4, that would be 4 1/8. These are the same. So, now flanges are just a little bit different. Here's 125-pound flanges. Weld necks, we got slip-ons, we got all this other stuff. For a slip-on flange, I always just do a 1/2 inch. That's what I do. But like, there's a 300-pounder. Let me find the 150s. Where the heck are the 150s? Those are, oh, there they are, right there. 150s. So this is what I deal with most of the time on mechanical piping, is the 150s. On the weld necks, say we do a 2-inch weld neck. Let me get this focused up. 2-inch weld neck. Now this is a weld neck flange or a slip-on flange, all right? Slip-on, threaded, and socket. But 90% of what we're going to do is right here. So 2-inch, we're going to come over. We know that the takeoff is 2.5 inches, and that is going to be from top of here to here. You can tell that this is still labeled with letters on what your takeoff is, so we know that Y is what we need to take off. So like I said, guys, we're gonna come over here. Get you focused in. 2, and then this is the Y. Length through hub Y. Come down 2.5 inches. So that's how this works. So whatever size weight you have on a flange, 1,500 pound flanges. We got 2,500 pound flanges. Looks like that's as much as it goes, about 2,500 pounds. But it's just as easy if you have the flanges sitting there, just run a tape measure up, hook it right there, and then just pull back, and that'll be your takeoff as well. So, okay, all a takeoff is when you have a piece of pipe. Okay, piece of pipe. Here we go. That's my pipe. You have your fitting, which we're just going to do a 90 right here. Okay, something like that. There's your 90. And then we have another piece of pipe coming down here. And say you have to make a filled weld right here. Okay? This piece of pipe over here, and like I said, guys, we're going super simple. Savvy? So this is a T. Oh, let me get some blacker lines here so we can see what we're frickin' doing. And it's got to tie into this piece of pipe right here. And then say this one's got a flange. And this is a side view of this deal, all right? Really simple drawing. As we get going through this, we're going to start doing some super complex stuff, as in we got to hit 3 points and everything's got to hit this beam and then come up and wrap around over here as we get going through this pipe fitting course. That is the stuff I want you guys to know how to do. This is bringing you to that point. You've got to have a good foundation before you move on to bigger stuff like that. So, what we're going to say is we're trying to build this piece right here. All right, and we know that it's got to hit this point and it's got to hit this point. So, in pipe, everything is measured from center of pipe to center of pipe. Hence, the takeoffs are center to the end of weld, all right? So, from here, and all we're going to do is make this super simple. Whole numbers, that's what I like, whole numbers. So, we're going to say that this is 4 feet. So, from here to here, 4 feet. Now, to explain a takeoff the best that I can, if you cut this, now this is your pup, this is your pipe. Okay, this is what we have to cut in order to make all of these line up where they're going, all right? If you cut this piece of pipe at 4 feet, and we're going to say that this is 4-inch pipe, just to make it easy. This is 4-inch pipe. Okay, so this is going to be a 4-inch 90 and a 4x4 T, which maybe I'll write that right here. How's that? 4x4 T, 4-inch 90. Now, if you cut this 4-inch piece of pipe at 4 feet, guys, you remember me going through the blue book with you just a second ago. A 4-inch 90 is 6 inches, okay? So what's going to happen is you're going to cut this piece of pipe, center of this, which is 4 foot. So here's your pipe. And you're going to go center of this, 4 foot. This is what you cut your pipe at. Because now it says 4 foot, right? Center to center, 4 foot. Well, now I want to show you the best way that I can. You still have to weld your 90 on. We are now 6 inches past where this thing's going to be tying in. So this is tying in here. This thing center to center here is now 6 inches out. You've pushed it out because you did not take into account for the 90 that you need to take into account for. You have to cut off what that 90 is. So In the blue book, it shows you what that is. This is a 4-inch long radius 90. In the blue book, it talks about from this weld, from right here where you're going to make this weld, to the center of this piece of pipe, which this is measured in centers, right? This is 6 inches. So you should have, and let me bring it over here, and this is the way I lay out all my math so that I can go back and check and make sure that it's right. We got 4 foot, center to center. That's our total length. We need to minus out 6 inches for a 90, okay? Now, since we cut this at 4 foot, our T is pushed out here as well. Hopefully you guys are getting all this, all right? So here's our T, and here you are right here. Man, we've messed up bad, all right? If we've gotten to that point, we've messed up bad. And on page 97, we're doing a 4-inch T. So it's actually on 98. 4x4 T is 4 1/8 inches. So right here, 4 1/8 inches. Okay, 4x4 T. You have pushed this T out 4 1/8 inches. So you're literally 10 1/8 inches long, 10 inches, almost a foot long, because you did not take out for these fittings. Now fittings are super important. You have to take out for them, all right? So, like I said, if you cut this piece of pipe at 4 foot, because that's what it says, center to center, 4 foot, you are now 4 foot 10 1/8 inches long. You are too long. It is not going to work. So, like I said, we're over here now. We laid out 4 foot center to center. That's our goal. That's what we need it to be. Minus 6 inches for a 90. So we're minusing out for this 90. Then we're going to come in and we're going to minus out 4 1/8 inches for a T. This is the way I lay everything out, all right? I want to know that when I go back through to do my math, boom, everything's on the money. I write down what the fitting is, what it's doing, blah, blah, blah. Now, the other thing you've got to take into account, in this piece of pipe that we are cutting, we're trying to hit this center here, which is a piece of pipe coming down, and we're trying to hit this center so that everything goes in just right. You have to come into account for your weld gap. Now, if you're welding stainless, you might be taking 3/16 gap, or, you know, whatever you prefer. You have to take into account for that. We're going to take into account as if this was a downhill weld. So I'm talking a 16th gap. That's what we're going to wind up taking for it. So we know we got 2 gaps that we got to take care of. We got one here, because this is going to be a weld. This is going to be a weld. Now, like I said, if you're welding stainless or bigger pipe, or you want a bigger gap, or whatever you're doing, you just need to make sure you take into account for that gap. So we're going to go minus 1/16 inch for a gap, minus 1/16 inch for a gap. Boom. Now, guys, we're going to pull out the calculator because I prefer calculators. Now, I've talked to you guys about the Pipe Trade calculator, Pipe Trade Pro. This calculator is where it's at. It's a great calculator. I love it. So what we're going to do is 4 foot minus 6 inches for your 90, minus 4 inch 1/8 for your T, minus a 16th, which is going to be an 1/8 inch, all right? So we know that in order to get this to fit, we need to cut a pup at 3 foot 1 3/4 inches. That is what this is going to be. So from cut to cut is going to be 3 foot 1 3/4 inches. Okay? Once you put your 90 on, once you put your T on, from center of T to center of 90 will be 4 foot. That is what that is saying. That is the easiest way I can explain a takeoff and why this is so important to know, all right? Later on as we get through this, we're going to show you how to shoot lasers off of this and pull a measurement from here and make sure that you don't need to add pups into all this or whatever, but like I said, guys, this is just a super simple way of knowing how important a takeoff is, what a takeoff does, and what would happen if you did not do your takeoffs. All right, so that is just such a big thing as far as this goes. You have to do your takeoffs. There's just no way about it. It's just that important. So guys, like I said, go get your blue book. Make sure you have it. Get the black book. Read up on anything you can about what you're getting ready to do. As we go through this, we're going to start talking about copper takeoffs. We're going to show you how to do copper. We're going to show you how to do threaded pipe. We're going to show you how to do slip-ons, weld necks, all sorts of things, socket welds, how to do all your takeoffs, how to make sure it fits. Because guys, the guy that knows how to do it and how to be the best at it is going to be the one that continues to stay busy and pushes your career ahead of everybody else's. That is what we're trying to do for you right now. If you can weld, freaking awesome. But can you fit? Okay? If you can fit, can you weld? You need to be well-rounded. Do both. Be the best that you can be, all right? If you don't know how to do AutoCAD, learn AutoCAD. This is what we're trying to teach you guys in these courses, is how are we going to make you better? We want to make you better. So, anyways, guys, pay attention to this. Easiest way I can think of explaining what the takeoff is, how it works, and why you need to know this. All right, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for sticking around with us as we kind of explain the takeoff, how the blue book works, and whatever else. Guys, in the next videos, we're going to start getting into depth on how everything is working. We're going to start pulling measurements on pieces. We're going to start showing you how to fab things. When you look at an ISO, what are you looking for? What are the main things that you need to know on an ISO, all right? On an isometric drawing is what an ISO stands for. The other things we're going to start teaching you is when you look at a drawing, what can you roll out? What is the fastest things that you can get done and knock out, and the least amount of position welds that you can make? That's super important. When you're trying to talk speed, you're trying to talk getting your inches and making sure that you're staying productive and out in front of the next guy and being fast enough to keep going, your rollouts, knowing what has to be welded in position, where your field welds are. If you can go pull your measurements and build everything on the ground, you need to be doing that. If you're stovepiping stuff up in the rack, it's probably no good. We need to get you to the point of where you can go up there with a tape measure, pull your measurements, do whatever you got to do, and then take it to the ground, build it on the ground, fly it up, and it's going to fit every time, all right? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Be blessed, and we'll talk to you here in a bit, all right?